To start off the afternoon session, I'm going to invite Jacques Wolfmarens. Did I butcher your name in here, Jacques? My fellow South African, sorry. Jacques is an industrial engineer, 20 years experience on the industry, consulting and managing projects in the mining and operational technology sectors. Has been with Foresight for over 18 of those years, and is currently their solution manager. Specializing in simulation modeling and utilizing data to validate improvement initiatives, forecasting future performance, constraint analysis, and improving asset performance. Welcome, Jacques.
Thank you very much. Okay. Today I'd like to give you a brief introduction into SimMine and how SimMine could potentially provide you confidence or more confidence in setting production targets when integrated with Datamine and Datamine Designs. I think the first question is always why do we want to simulate? Simulation provides a platform that captures variability and randomness that static or deterministic models normally do not capture. Combined with the complexity of mines and the interdependencies between various subsystems normally not captured within the deterministic models, simulation and the variation that it captures then provide confidence in while planning. It also provides a decision support tool, so making informed decisions based on accurate data, testing scenarios without having to stop operations and being able to test and then make informed decisions thereafter. As a simulation consultant, the majority of objectives that we get from clients for simulation is always the project owner wanting to know how did the consultant or the mining engineer plan, or what did they base their planning and their rates on, and the solution for this is then simulation. SimMine is the perfect platform for that. That it provides a simplistic tool whereby you can test your planning and mining methodologies from first principle, and then also integrate it into various design softwares. This allows the client or the user to simulate multiple options, compare them, optimize, and effectively integrate it back into the design and continue to optimize the design and the planning and the schedule based on that. Just something that sets SimMine apart from the deterministic models. Firstly, as I said, so looking at simulating from first principle. So given the level of detail that you choose to design from or simulate from, we can go down into the nuts and bolts of the mining cycle, starting from drilling rate or going as high as just defining an assumed drilling duration. But effectively we can take into account the total mining cycle, the equipment utilizations, the interdependencies thereof, the effect of vehicle availabilities and downtimes on subsequent processes. Being dynamic in the sense that you can run for multiple periods, so you could have it for short-term planning, medium or life of mine planning, include various degrees of variability, and then also take into account the dynamic nature of the mine evolving and traveling distances increasing as the mine evolves. Once again, just looking at the various scenarios, you can look at operating philosophies, equipment selection, alternative shift schedules, and then eliminating potential congestion based on bottleneck analysis. Okay. In the simulation process, if you ask any consultant, majority of the process time for the consulting is setting up the layout on which to then effectively model. What makes SimMine unique in this sense is that by being able to import directly from the mine design with the schedule on the design, it minimizes that duration from weeks to hours. We can effectively import a layout from Datamine with all the dependencies, the blocks, the center lines, combine those and generate a layout. So that would be our step one. Secondly is then from the inherent objects within SimMine, you can program whichever vehicles and what suite of vehicles require, and then the model is ready to run. And this then comes the iterative program. If your design changes, you can import it without having to set up again, and you can rerun. If you want to change, set up different fleet, that is then an option too, and you can do multiples of this until you find your optimized solution based on the design that you want to test. Okay, just some of the SimMine use cases. SimMine was originally developed for decline development, so it started as an underground tool solely, but as the need arose, it evolved to include various other, not just development options, but production options as well. And looking at some of the latest features that have been added now is the functionality to do open pits, as well as looking at the electrification of mines. And then just looking at the future, busy looking at block caving, but which I know it's not relevant today, but just good to know. So as we said, it was simple. So if we look at the Datamine import, by taking the center lines, your blocks or your solid files and your dependencies, you import those three, you generate something similar to the example that's on the screen at the moment. And to be honest, generate, as I said, so that used to take us weeks to put together, get the sequencing and dependency, importing that took a couple of minutes. And from there, effectively, we need to set up the fleet, what shift schedule you want, what mining philosophy you want to follow, and the model is ready to start running. So if we look at an example, so just a basic example at the top of an open pit that was imported with the various haul routes and a tipping location here at the right, and at the bottom video running just a bit zoomed out, showing the various blocks being mined and where the various vehicles are during the run, and then if we look at the smaller picture which we run now is just then a zoomed in, so you can see the interaction between the vehicles, so your shovels and your trucks, and how the ore is loaded. Okay. Cool. Then just typically what SimMine also provides is the functionality to have, it has a user interface to analyze all the results automatically. What's going on now? Within SimMine, so you can analyze the various data, without having a secondary program. But it also does have an automatic export into software like Excel and Power BI. And with this, with the Power BI functionality, you can drill down either up or down. So from looking at hourly data up until annual data, per specific vehicles. Just showing the comparison we currently have. It's just a look at, if we run it, the previous example, where we had a constraint, we ran the model, you could see the resource utilization for the various equipment. Highlighted there was the drills being utilized at 97% effective utilization, and then we ran a couple of scenarios just to test and see what the effect would be if you add, and how you add whatever vehicle we add. added. So the bottom graph just indicating by adding an additional drill with a truck shovel combination, you could then effectively alleviate that bottleneck and move it over, and then reducing your utilization and also reducing the time required to move the specific tons for that scenario.